The archive is open tonight. Not the clean part of it. Not the files with numbered folders, redactions, and neat little warnings at the top. This is one of the files that feels damp when you read it. Welcome back to Midnight Echo Radio. I'm Seraphine Corven. Tonight we are going to Salvation, Indiana, to a condemned high school with a swimming pool over a collapsed sub-basement, a stone arch buried too far underground, and a phrase carved into it like a nursery rhyme for something that never learned to sleep. Keep the lights low, and if you hear someone say hello beneath the floor, do not answer first. Tonight's file is SCP-3935. This thing a quiet madness made. The official containment language is plain enough to be frightening. The town of Salvation, Indiana has been evacuated. A fenced quarantine zone stretches 2 kilometers around the center of town. Roads have been removed or rerouted. Civilians who try to enter are intercepted. The cover story is a hazardous waste disaster. That is what you say when the truth would sound too much like folklore. At the center of the zone is Salvation High School. Beneath the school is a collapsed sub-basement. Beneath that, roughly 25 meters down, is a small antechamber. Inside the antechamber is a stone arch. Nobody knows who made it. Nobody knows how it ended up buried there. The inscription is in English, but it does not appear to come from anywhere else. The way below winds deeper, longer, unspeakable its patterns laid. The lost forever damned, to wander this thing a quiet madness made. SCP-3935 is not the school itself. Not exactly. It is the extratemporal, extraspatial, non-Euclidean space beneath it. But files like this rarely stay polite. The anomaly seems to have reached beyond the entrance, into the building, into the town, and eventually into the memories of the people who lived there. The first recorded week reads like a school story told by someone trying very hard not to sound afraid. On a Sunday night in June of 1976, 2 10th grade students walked home from church and passed the high school. They reported hearing someone trying to speak under the ground. One of them told her mother. Her mother ignored it. That is often where these stories begin. Not with screaming, not with blood. With an adult deciding that the world is still ordinary because admitting otherwise would be inconvenient. On Monday, during gym class, an 11th grade student said he could hear voices beneath the pool. Other students heard them too. School officials investigated and found nothing unusual, except a crack in the lining at the bottom of the pool. A crack is such a simple thing. A small failure in a surface designed to hold water back. Later, several girls saw faceless things in a second-story bathroom mirror instead of their own reflections. The file notes they did not seem bothered by this. That may be the most disturbing part. Fear is a useful warning system. When it goes missing, something else has already been taken. During lunch announcements, students heard a third voice underneath the broadcast. Unintelligible, low, close enough to be carried through the school's public address system. The media center sat less than 40 meters from the basement room and the collapsed wall. By Tuesday, the world had stopped pretending. Students arrived to find the Indiana state flag more than 3 meters above the top of the flagpole, attached to nothing. The American flag was gone. Some students said they could see 9 female figures hanging by ropes from the same pole. The figures vanished as soon as they were seen. In biology class, one student stood up, rolled his eyes back, and sank through the floor. A short time later, he reappeared above a ceiling panel in the corner of the room. His classmates could not identify him later. Several insisted it had just been a joke. A joke is what the mind calls horror when it has no drawer to put it in. That same day, students described a person they did not recognize walking through the school. Nobody could remember the student's face, height, voice, or clothing. Only a purple satchel with the word syncope embroidered in white. Syncope means fainting, a temporary loss of consciousness. It is a very strange word to carry through a school that is beginning to forget what should be real. A custodian also reported seeing something standing at the bottom of the pool, staring up at him. By Wednesday morning, there were 2 inches of water across every level of the school. The principal did not close it. At 7:56 a.m., everyone in the building heard the word "hello" whispered in their right ear. Not over the intercom, not from the hallway, in the right ear. The band students discovered their instruments no longer produced sound, but when they played them, they could see a small black human-shaped thing flickering in and out of view in the corner, facing the wall. One student saw a dark figure walking up and away from the school through the air at an impossible angle. It disappeared into the sky. Nobody else addressed it. This is the rhythm of SCP-3935. Not just events becoming impossible, but people reacting as though impossibility has become part of the schedule. Thursday became worse. A senior in gym class avoided a dodgeball because the ball passed through him. Then he began to sink into the floor. He screamed for help. The report says nobody who noticed seemed motivated enough to help. At 11:23 a.m., the school shifted upward, about a foot off its foundations. A vice principal sent to inspect the movement reported seeing something small beneath the building. Something with too many faces. Something grinning. Then the building settled back down. The boys' locker room disappeared and was replaced by something that screamed. The witnesses could not provide further details. There are sentences in anomaly reports that feel like locked doors. That is one of them. When school let out, the students saw 9 young women hanging in the air, angled forward, suspended roughly 25 meters above the parking lot. They mouthed words silently. Witnesses described them with cruel, useless language, then watched them vanish around 3 in the afternoon. At the same time, many residents of the town heard a child's voice say, "Hello," below them. Below them. The principal finally decided to close the school on Friday. The students came anyway. The entire student body assembled outside the locked front doors. No one could explain why they were there. Then there was a knock on a window. On the second floor, a small black humanoid shape stood outside a classroom. It phased in and out of the glass. Then it appeared at other windows, moving in a jerky, spasmodic way. The front doors unlocked themselves. The students entered. Inside, the school was no longer a school in any meaningful sense. The report describes a non-Euclidean interior. As the students approached the back of the space, they realized they were not moving forward. They were moving down. Whispers filled the building. Some students heard drums in the distance. They saw, somewhere ahead, the archway that led into SCP-3935. Then the entire mass of students shifted 50 meters outside the space and became encased in rock and earth. For approximately 20 seconds, they were buried alive. Then they reappeared inside the school. Afterward, every student reported being alone. Each of them wandered the hallways and eventually found what they described as a doorway below a doorway. They entered the small sub-basement room. Inside, they saw 3 visions, A woman crouched over a body of water, blood around her feet, her arms sunk into the water up to the elbows. A farmhouse burning in a grove of trees, while 9 humanoid figures hung in the air overhead. A weeping woman digging in a field until her hands began to rot and fall apart. Then the small black humanoid appeared. It said, "Hello." 9 screaming female figures surrounded the students, and then every student was home. That should have been the end. It was not. As agents entered Salvation to control the situation, anomalous activity spread through the town. Bodies hung in the sky. Taps produced human hair and mucus instead of water. Some residents felt their facial features disappear. Others saw faceless creatures walking through town. A still black humanoid entity was seen frantically beating on the inside of the high school's second-story windows. The town was condemned. The population was removed. The quarantine zone was established. But the file does not give the comforting impression that containment means understanding. Later reports from Foundation staff occupying Salvation describe a figure dressed as a UIU agent trying to direct people toward the high school. It vanished if watched too long. An agent saw a small black figure sitting under his vehicle. When he looked, it was gone. After that, he always saw it in his peripheral vision. There were sounds from a grove of trees near the high school. Exploration found a dilapidated 1-bedroom house and something in the backyard connected to the recurring 9 figures. The house could not be reliably found again. After dark, agents saw the 9 female humanoid entities jerking toward them through the dark, only to slide into the earth or fade away before reaching them. Bodies floated up from the bottom of a small pond outside town. No more than 9 at a time. They rested at the surface, then sank back down. SCP-3935 is often summarized as a school with a space underneath it. That is not quite what makes it frightening. Many horror stories have a basement. Many have a door. Many have a thing that waits below. This file is colder than that. The terror of Salvation is that something underneath the school did not merely open a hole in the ground. It opened a hole in normal response. People heard voices beneath the pool and went to class. Students saw faceless things in mirrors and moved through the day. A boy sank through the floor, and the room edited its own concern. A town looked at impossible bodies in the sky, and still, somehow, tried to keep being a town. The anomaly did not just bend space. It bent attention. It bent memory. It bent the instinct that tells a person to run. That may be why the hello matters. It is not a monster roar. It is not a threat. It is social, familiar. A small opening word, a child's voice, a greeting from below. A thing says hello because it wants the world to answer. And in Salvation, people kept answering by continuing. There is an interview in the file with a former teacher named Valerie Fletcher, conducted decades later. She struggles with memory loss. She remembers a quiet town, 1 road in and 1 road out. She remembers stories young people told in the woods. People seen at the roadside, waving, then gone when you looked back. When asked about the high school, her memory buckles. She remembers teaching there, maybe English. She remembers a child disappearing near the pool. Or perhaps the child ran away. Or perhaps they were a problem child. Or perhaps it was better for them. That is how horror survives after a quarantine. not always as evidence, sometimes as a damaged explanation inside someone's mouth. A reason that keeps changing shape because the real reason is still under the building. I keep returning to the arch. Not the black figure, not the bodies, not even the Friday when the whole student... The file says the original inhabitants of Salvation are believed to be unable to reproduce. That line appears almost clinically, tucked into containment procedures as something to monitor. It does not explain itself. It does not need to. A town is not only roads, houses, schools, and a water tower. A town is continuity. Children born to people who remember the same streets. Family names repeating on mailboxes. Yearbooks filling new shelves with faces that look a little like the old faces. Whatever happened in Salvation did not only make the town unsafe, it interrupted the town's future. That makes the high school even colder as a center point. A school is supposed to be the place a town sends its future every morning. Salvation sent its children into a building with a cracked pool, a whispering floor, and an entrance below the entrance. Then something beneath that building taught them how easily a familiar hallway can stop obeying the world. The file's imagery keeps returning to 9 figures, water, facelessness, and impossible direction. Up past the flagpole, down beneath the pool. A figure walking upward through the air. Students moving toward the back of the school and realizing they are descending. SCP-3935 is not merely below. Below is only the direction the human mind can tolerate. The more precise horror is that the town's rules for place had come loose. A person could sink through a floor, reappear above a ceiling panel, be trapped in earth outside the school, then return home with a memory that insisted they had been alone. A locker room could become something that screamed. A child's hello could arrive from underneath an entire town. And still the file keeps its composure. That is why SCP stories work so well after midnight. The language does not panic for you. It leaves that part to the room you are sitting in. The file ends, as many SCP files do, without giving the listener what they want most. There is no clean answer, no named entity with a motive, no final procedure that seals the arch and lets everyone go home. There is a quarantine town, a high school guarded by security personnel, a space beneath the pool where exploration is forbidden, a memory of 9 figures in the air, a small black shape that appears where it should not, a grating from below, and roads that no longer lead where they used to. If you ever find yourself in a condemned town with the maps rerouted around it, do not assume the road was moved to keep you out. Sometimes roads are moved because something underneath learned how to invite. And if you pass an old school at night and hear someone beneath the ground trying to speak, keep walking. Do not stop at the fence. Do not look for the pool. Do not answer hello. You have been listening to Midnight Echo Radio. I'm Seraphine Corven. Leave the door above the door closed, and when the room goes quiet, let it stay that way.